Hi, Sreyashi, and welcome to Through the Noise. I am glad that you joined us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I am so inspired by your content on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to share any insights that I have with your audiences.
Likewise, I mean, the content that you built around BOFU content has been a go-to guide and a framework for a lot of people in my team as well. And I keep telling them that, you know what, just look at her LinkedIn. By that itself, you can learn, just save those posts, learn from there. And which actually brings me to the point that I want to talk to you a lot about bottom of the funnel content today. So I'm going to get straight to the point and ask you a couple of questions, right?
Sure, sure.
But just for the audience, so that everybody knows who she is. She's actually heading the content efforts at Compport. So if you want to see some amazing work, amazing examples of how content marketing still works in the time of AI, I think you may want to go to Compport's website and see what she's doing there.
Thanks. Thanks a lot for the introduction.
Okay, let's begin. So, number one thing that I want to start with is absolute basics, right? When you think of BOFU content, what's the biggest misconception that you see in today's world marketers have?
I think the biggest misconception in my mind that I see, and even I think I have also made this mistake in the beginning, is that BOFU content is salesy. It has to be like a hard sell asset. So the thing is that yes, like partly it is correct that BOFU content, unlike tofu or mofu, it is directly for conversion. So when you are writing or creating any BOFU asset, you are actually targeting very specific group of audiences, and you are trying to convert them. That is right. But I see that many writers and marketers, they feel that that means that BOFU content can be biased, where they are only talking about their product, their features, and the competitor content is like sometimes it is kiddish, that even when you are mentioning say a big competitor, be it say HubSpot or Salesforce or any big competitor, and you are saying that they don't provide this but we provide that, so that sounds very immature to me. I have read those kind of pieces, so it sounds very immature because one, you are talking about a big player, and two, everybody is smart these days. Anybody can go to Reddit, anybody can go to their website, or anybody can go to G2 or Capterra and read more about it. So in my opinion, what should rather matter is that you should talk about, first you should talk about facts, you should be respectful towards your competitors, and it's okay, like if you are a very small startup and you are competing with a very big brand, it is understandable that you might not have all the features that they have, or you don't have a lot of things to be unique. So in that case, you focus on the two three things that you do better. It could be your pricing, it could be more automation features, it could be more integrations, more like better customer support, whatever it is. Just be specific, be honest, and highlight that, as compared to being kiddish and actually hiding details that anybody can find out in 5 minutes. So I think yeah, that is what I have observed.
I 10 on 10 agree. I think one of the biggest misconceptions with people approaching BOFU content is they need to have a whole suite of features before they start writing BOFU
Right.
content. I feel they wait far too long. And in my experience as well, I've felt that what you're strong with, you take that angle.
Hmm.
Because I
Hmm.
think most people approach BOFU content with that, hey, it needs to be a comparison between A and B. What they're not realizing, it can be a comparison between A and B on a very specific parameter as well,
Exactly.
right? Most people are missing those opportunities, are lower hanging fruits, and I think that a lot of people are, stuck up there. Which also brings me to the other conception, misconception, which is it can only be a web page. It can be
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
fantastic blog. It can be a
Yes.
detailed
Yes.
blog. It could be a spreadsheet as well.
Anything. Yes.
But I think people are just stuck up doing one landing page and maybe one blog, which is like a listicle of alternatives, which I think you and I have both written as well. And I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
there's just too many of them on the internet today.
Hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so a lot of teams are right now over-indexing on what tofu slash mofu, but struggle at bofu,
Hmm.
right? What do you see as the most effective bofu content formats right now, and why? Which ties back to what I was just discussing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would, when it comes to my personal approach towards content marketing, no matter what everyone says that content marketing is dead, SEO is dead, I still rely on the good old assets a lot. So one asset that I have seen always works is case studies, right? So like the case studies are like that OG content format, even when even BOFU content, like the term BOFU was not there, or AI was not so much this thing. So I, whenever I would do any research or anything, I would go to case studies to learn about a like a brand, what they're doing. That actually gives me, like, you can say a lot of things about your product, but ultimately maybe the one or two features that actually worked for a customer, that is what matters. So I think I would also suggest, like, any content marketer, right, so go for case studies. You can actually, and those case studies, like if you interview say 5 customers in 5 different industries or for 5 different use cases, those documents, those assets can be used in different ways, be it social media, be it videos, be it anything. Like you can actually use those insights to answer Reddit queries as well, anything. So my thing would be that case studies, they are proven BOFU assets, they always work, they actually give people that kind of things they want to know, not what you are suggesting. You can give me 5-10 features of your product, but what matters to your audiences, that's what is important. Targeting agencies, or you're targeting product companies as a marketing tool, so you have to actually give them an example that this agency actually got benefited by our product, these are the features they use, and that is what makes a difference. Definitely case study, and other than that, comparison pages, alternative blogs, like you said, and like you very correctly mentioned, that it doesn't always have to be this comparison, just a comparison table as well. It could be a very simple blog. Say for example, say if I'm talking about a product like ClickUp, so ClickUp has multiple use cases, multiple users, right? So if I'm writing for a very particular use case, how agency leads, agency project managers can use ClickUp, that itself is a BOFU content, because that content will only talk about agency project managers, their struggles, how they are dealing with multiple clients, how their time is getting wasted in all those things, and why they need ClickUp. So like you said, anything very specific, very contextual, very audience related, audience pain point related, can be a good BOFU content format.
Interesting. I think that is in line with what we learned when we were working with Omnisend. We realized that yes, they had comparison web pages, but what they also supplemented it with was a very detailed feature by feature comparison, because obviously
Okay.
Omnisend's competitors were big time players like Mailchimp, Klaviyo, etc. So they had to go one step higher to, kind of show how their product was really good. We learned how different formats really tie to each other. And like you said, right, it's not about creating that one format. It's about taking that one format, creating multiple assets out of it.
Exactly.
I think that's one company that's doing it really, really well right now. That, you take out a guide, you build out a page, then you build out a carousel, you maybe build out even a sales sheet, just scorecard of sorts. BOFU works really well. But one thing that comes from your answer itself, right? And it just came to my mind when we are discussing with we speak to a lot of head of marketing, CMOs during, whenever that we're onboarding a client. And I've started to feel that there is a lot of confusion between what is middle of the funnel and what is bottom of the funnel. As you mentioned, right, that bottom of the funnel does not necessarily mean just case studies, does not necessarily mean just, A versus B comparison. When you go super specific, right,
Right,
that also accounts for bottom of the funnel.
exactly.
Um, how do you recommend other marketers and companies to differentiate between their middle of the funnel and their bottom of the funnel?
I think, yeah, the answer would be pretty much same in my opinion. So to answer in one sentence, I'd say, be it top of the funnel or middle of the funnel, I'm never saying that don't create those assets. Definitely do, but understand the end goal, right? So when you're writing a middle of the funnel article, that is essentially working to build, like, to bring audiences to your website. But a bottom of the funnel article, I'm not saying bottom of the funnel article is not good for SEO, it can't bring your audiences, it definitely can. But when you're writing it, your goal should be that it should keep them in the website. For example, in a middle of the funnel article, you it is a listicle. Suppose it is a listicle. You have just talked about very basic features of 5 to 10 products, very even for your product as well. That brings someone to your website. But now if they're in your website, they're interested, they want to know more, that is when they will read case studies, they will read more specific feature related articles, they will watch interactive demos, they will watch product videos. So so in one sentence, middle of the funnel article or top of the funnel article, top of the funnel is like a different story, that is more for educational purpose, but middle of the funnel article is a good asset to bring them to, like, make them interested, to bring them to your website, right? But when it comes to bottom of the funnel article, its end goal should be at least like help them to get some action, like bring them to do some action. It could be downloading an asset, it could be booking a demo, or bare minimum watch your interactive demo, interact with it, right? So this kind of goals, very specific goals, should be about bottom of the funnel articles.
I think one thing that I tend to tell companies is a good way is intent, right? Just go
Hmm.
after intent. If you dig deeper
Hmm.
into intent, you'll understand, is this bottom of the funnel? Is this middle of the funnel? And
Right.
another way to go about it, if you're in a very new category, is to reverse engineer. For example, I think one of the things we always do is use middle of the funnel for context setting.
Hmm.
Imagine
Yeah.
it's a whole different product, new category of product,
Hmm.
and now you're straight up going into your bottom of the funnel. It becomes harder to tell people this is what we do, right? Or this
Yeah.
is what the product is meant for. So middle of the funnel can be used like that, one layer up, where you're
Hmm.
doing the context setting a little bit so that people know that,
Hmm.
oh, you're talking about this, so maybe you do this. And
Hmm.
then bottom of the funnel, like you had mentioned, create a journey through that content, right?
Right.
So middle of the funnel for setting the context, and then bottom of the funnel to bringing them to, within the funnel and bottom. Nice.
Yes.
So decision stage buyers, they're usually very skeptical and comparison driven. And especially
Hmm.
with things like ChatGPT, I think that's everybody searching through that. What is the best
Hmm.
alternative for X?
Hmm.
How do you make POFU content a little more persuasive without it looking like a hard sell? Because I think that's another thing that we often have a lot of back and forth with our clients on. Most want it to be a hard sell because it is bottom of the funnel.
Yes.
How do
Yes.
you ensure that it doesn't look like another sales pitch for those that you work with?
Yeah, I think I actually go for three things here. A common pattern in any BOFU of any, I would say, mediocre BOFU content would be just pick two, three reviews from G2 and just prove that okay, my competitor is not good at it. I'm good at it. But a background picture, like the behind the scenes here, is that lot of the times writers or marketers don't know is that this G2 reviews, they can actually be paid reviews. Many companies, they actually offer gift cards to even random to their employees to offer them reviews. So they, my point is, they are not honest reviews, right? So instead of just picking one review or two review to establish that okay, this competitor is not good at it but we are better at it, go for a pattern. Like if 10 people are saying yes, this tool is little bit expensive, then you can actually make that claim that yeah, this can be an expense. And for whom? Not expense, like expensive is something that is very perspective driven. For startups it could be expensive, not for enterprises. If an enterprise is not using the tool, that is not because it is expensive, because it is not like meeting their requirements, right? So this kind of research is very important. Like when you are saying something about your competitor in a BOFU content, you have to back it with data. You have to at least read 10 to 12 reviews to write even one disadvantage, one con of your competitor product. And similarly, when it comes to writing about your product, there also the research should be very strong. You need to talk to your customer support people, you need to understand exactly what feature your customers are using in what way. Because as a marketer, I might feel that this feature I can use in this way, but in reality you will see that people are not even using it. They are using the most basic feature in different ways. So this kind of clarity is very important for marketers, content marketers specifically. And second, I would say go for don't just rely on G2 and Capterra, these platforms. They are okay, but I don't think they are in the long run they are 100% unbiased. Go to Reddit where people actually talk about, genuinely discuss about a certain feature, a certain product. Like pick your pointers from there, even for your product or for your competitor's product. Pick honest pointers from there. You don't have to include it all in your article, but it is good for your research, to for you to understand what actually works and what doesn't. Then you can build your narrative from there. And third, like you said, it depends on the intent, right? So your product can offer 10 different features. They are all very good, but you have to, at the end of the day, understand who are you writing for. If you are writing for a particular group of audience and they are only looking for one use case, one particular feature, then that is where you should spend your energy on. You should try to establish how that feature is good for your product, right? Interactive demos, product videos, customer testimonial. This thing should be about that feature and not highlighting 10 different features that your audience doesn't even care about. So these are the three things I think should make your BOFU content honest and persuasive, that people will actually take actions after reading.
We add like we've tested this out as a theory, right? So we add
Mhm.
one more layer on top of the 3 points that you said. That's like deep research. And on top of that, we tend to align with product, sales, and support teams
Correct.
because those inputs are so worth it. Like you wouldn't find them anywhere else
Mhm.
because let's assume, I am migrating from X tool to your tool.
Yeah.
You would reach out to support. And I feel that that's exactly where, that insight lies, that what is the market actually talking about. So one of the things that I think helped us create a lot of good POFU content is like alignment between teams. Because somebody who's built the product will always know who the product is best suited for.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
do see hesitance in stakeholders to align these three departments together. They should,
Yeah.
ideally, they should, because if they don't work together, you are creating silos. Right? So there's the marketing silo, there's sales, there's product, there's support, and nobody's talking to each other.
Mhm.
So I feel that apart from the research that marketers are meant to do on their own, which is like the step by step that you told us, I feel that maybe if you add one more layer of where you create a channel between these departments, right? You
Right.
can actually find that information really quickly.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
another way that I think we recommend, but we don't see most companies follow through because it takes effort to bring everybody together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody just cuts corners on the same.
Hmm.
Moving on to the next question, which is personalization is currently a big thing. What are some practical ways you've seen teams tailor their BOFU content to different buyer personas and use cases? How do you bring that personalization at scale?
Yeah. I think two, three things that I have found very useful is that, for example, one would be definitely creating tools. It could be, calculator, or it could be a quick survey, a quick quiz, or whatever, like, and you should place it in a strategic manner. So for example, if someone is trying to calculate, like, the article is about like reducing customer acquisition cost. In that article, it makes perfectly sense that you add a calculator where they can actually estimate what is their current CAC. So that is how you can say that, okay, you are spending so much on your customer acquisition, but it only makes sense when they are actually able to calculate it and then knowing, okay, so this much amount I'm spending on CAC, whereas this tool can help me reduce it. And then definitely you have to follow up with proper examples, proper pointers at how your tool can help it. But for them to get the realization that this is what I'm spending, a calculator could be a really good way, right, in a BOFU piece. Similarly, like I also mentioned, interactive demos, they have been very useful. So they are not like typical product videos where you are just, it's a one dimensional video where you are talking about your product. Again, you don't know if the reader is even interested in that product, but in that feature, but you are just talking about it. But when it is an interactive demo for a particular feature that the BOFU article is about, and you add it within the article somewhere, after maybe explaining 4 or 5 features, you are adding the interactive demo, and you are letting them, you are empowering your reader that, okay, so this much we have told about our product, now it's your turn, you go and try it, see if it actually works or not. So these are, I think, two ways to actually personalize your BOFU content. And there will always be things like adding checklists, adding templates here and there, but I feel these two things are very useful because the impact is better here, because they are actually able to use it instead of you saying them to use it. They are actually able to use it and make sense of it, like what is happening and not. Yeah.
I think another thing I would add to this is for companies who are very skeptical about adding, going very specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, a company that builds AI agents. Now,
Mm-hmm.
AI agents can be used practically by everybody. Like, who are you
Right.
talking to? So that BOFU content, unless you specify who are you talking to, is not going to happen. So
Correct.
one of the things that we try and tell everybody is narrow down your ICP, like who you're
Hmm.
going after with your content marketing and SEO strategy.
Hmm.
And then after that, personalize the content. Now, you may not have examples with you. You may not have case studies with you when you get
Hmm.
started. But can
Hmm.
you create hypothetical scenarios? Yes, you can. Like,
Hmm.
for instance,
Yes.
remember how we used to do industry pages, right?
Yeah.
We used to do something for X, something for Y. You used to put in visuals. We used to speak that industry's language. We used to speak that ICP's language, essentially. And that's by far like the easiest way to personalize. If you don't want to go into data, or if you don't have data, for instance,
Hmm.
I feel that that's like a very quick, rapid way for you to personalize at least the first touch. And then as
Correct.
you learn, right, you start to tweak it accordingly. But I do see companies shy away from personalization a lot. So their
Yeah.
pages feel like they're talking to everybody. And obviously, then their BOFU content doesn't quite convert either.
Correct.
Uh, that comes to companies creating a lot of content, as I said. So AI is changing the content creation process across
Hmm.
the funnel.
Hmm.
What role do you think it can or can't play in creating BOFU assets that actually convert, are not created because we had to do BOFU content, so we created seven different pieces, right? Where do you think that companies should be using AI, and where do you think companies should not be using AI?
Okay, okay. So I think before I start answering, I want to like say it forward. Like even on my LinkedIn also, I have said it multiple times that I consider myself as an AI proof marketer, but at the same time, I don't think you should use AI for anything and everything. So definitely it might sound like a bit of technically correct answer, but you have to find that balance. So my strategy has always been, since I started relying on AI, it has been like using AI as my assistant and not like AI using me as an assistant, and that works for BOFU content as well. So there are actually various ways you can use AI in your BOFU content marketing process, starting with research and even creating outline, creating deeper analysis. So for example, for research, like for example, you interviewed a customer, or you interviewed like a sales call recording. If you have permission, some brands, they don't allow you to upload these transcripts on AI. That is fair enough, but if you have permission, then if you upload, like you actually maintain, be it notebook LLM or be it chat GPT, you create different projects for different customers or different industries, and you use these transcripts to go deeper what they are saying, definitely, but what they are not saying, what are their pain points, right? What are the things that you can use in narratives, what kind of quotes you can get, like honest quotes that you can get to use in your articles. If you are able to identify these things, make a list of these things, then that can take your BOFU content to the next level. You don't have to even do a lot of research, because you can actually, like you said, your internals are your biggest assets when you are working on BOFU content, and you will get all this data from this research, and then you can actually plan and write it by yourself. So I would say for research, it's very important to use AI to scale your process, and so that you as a human writer, human marketer, focus on writing, because writing with AI, it's not that it is like a strict no, but at the end of the day, AI is AI and you are human. You as a human will be able to understand the emotions, the intricacies that AI will not do. Yes, you can actually feed AI with a lot of guidelines and your writing style. Those things work, I'm not saying those things don't work, but there has to be a place after that. You should be the one who should write certain things to actually make them believable, to actually make them persuasive. So yeah, I think the balance is important. In my opinion, use AI for research, use AI to like help you with building tables, building proper comparison tables, help you with creating what you can write here, outlines and all those things. But when it comes to writing, the major part, write it by yourself. Then again, use AI to maybe edit partially. Ask AI if you have been unbiased or biased, if any point of view that you can add, edit, remove, like that. But yeah, like use it as an assistant, but you do the, like you be the like the what do I say? You be the boss, let AI be the assistant. Don't let AI be the boss and you be the assistant. So I think that's what my opinion is.
No, I 100% agree. There was this one post that, I had a lot of scattered thoughts about a
Mm-hmm.
subject, and what I did was that I had a lot of pointers in my notes. So
Mm-hmm.
I just put it into GPT and I was like, you know what, help me make sense of this. Help me
Mm-hmm.
structure this so that it makes sense. Like an
Mm-hmm.
assistant of sorts who's doing your note taking. When you're reading something, that person is doing your note taking and then eventually
Mm-hmm.
tells you, hey, this is the takeaway of it, right? And then create the post. And then there was this one person who was like, oh, this post with GPT created. I said, correct. You're right.
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
I wanted to save time, but I said the thought process and the structure or the flow of it
Mm-hmm.
comes from me. So I
Mm-hmm.
call it a guardrail setting, wherein the input, or let's say the
Mm-hmm.
crucial data, has to come from you, and how
Mm-hmm.
you want it to flow, the narrative or
Mm-hmm.
the tilt of your content has to come
Mm-hmm.
from the human. And then
Hmm.
GPT is, like you said, used as an assistant. Can I
Yes.
make this better? Can I add a table? Can I probably, link to X, Y, and Z? That can happen from GPT. I mean, nobody needs
Mm-hmm.
to do that now anymore.
Yeah.
So definitely setting like a lot of guardrails is absolutely important.
Right. Yes.
Going to the absolute last question, which of course, comes down to tracking. So let's talk measurement. What's your go-to framework for tracking the impact of BOFU content on actual conversions and pipeline
Mm-hmm.
beyond that last touch attribution? Because we all know that last touch attribution really does not happen. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we write the case studies. It's not necessary somebody directly lands on the case study and converts from there. There are
Mm-hmm.
times people read
Mm-hmm.
the case study and then convert from
Mm-hmm.
elsewhere. So how do you
Mm-hmm.
measure the impact of your BOFU content?
Yeah, I think for BOFU content, like the goal for BOFU content is very specific. Similarly, metrics that you are tracking to understand how a BOFU content is working, they also have to be very specific. If conversion is your end goal, then you should definitely track like number of demos booked through your article or any content piece we are talking about. If you have added an interactive demo, then how many times it was watched, right? How many times it was clicked? If there is an asset there within that article, how many times it was downloaded, right? And who, and then you can go one step further and see who are these people, like are they matching your ICP? In tools like factors.ai you can also check that if you have a very basic ICP, that number of users, or like industry, or their whatever, it depends on your ICP. Typically, if I talk about our company, we define ICP with number of employees, right? Beyond a if it is say less than 100 employees, that will not work for us. So that is one metric that you can check, is that how many employees are there in the company, how big it is it an enterprise, is it a mid level company, is it a startup? So this kind of things you should definitely track from tools like factors.ai. You can also use HubSpot to check it. So that's how you know this is the pipeline. So even if someone has booked a demo, that is conversion, but that is just the pipeline your article has built, right? So next you should go to sales team who talk to these leads. You can actually understand, or you can sometimes sales teams actually directly update the status of a lead on HubSpot, so you can check that as well to understand, like say for example, coming back to the ClickUp example. So you are trying, through your article, you are trying to target agency project managers, right? So you are seeing that like an agency project manager actually booked a demo from your article. Okay, good enough. That means your article is actually at least partially doing what it is supposed to do. But what is next? So when a salesperson actually talks in the discovery call with they actually understand if what you have written about, if they are actually looking for that, or they were looking for something different, your article somehow misguided them. So that I think for BOFU content is very important. So if the salesperson comes to you with a feedback that okay, you wrote something that is not what we offer to our customers, then you should definitely go back quickly and edit it, because BOFU content is all about being correct about your product reflecting the correct things about your product. So that is again important. So one pipeline, be it through downloads, through book a demo, through any kind of actions, that's how you are getting their initial credentials of a prospect. That contributes to your pipeline. But what is next? How is, like, the lead that you have generated with your article, what's the quality? Is it actually matching? Is that actually what they are looking for in your product, or was that a disconnect caused by your article? They were not even looking for that. And sometimes even it can also happen, that's why marketers should talk to salespeople to understand. It could also happen that the lead is perfect, but there was a price related issue. They couldn't afford it, so that is understandable. That doesn't come to you as a marketer. You have done your best, but to understand their quality, if that is exactly what they were looking for, that is very important for marketers to understand, right? So that is one. And if the product, and this I'm talking about like big short products where like self use, how many of those signups are actually going for a premium version after the trial ends. So this kind of, I think, very specific metrics are very important to track to improve your BOFU content. Yeah.
I love how you've answered this in detail because most people track BOFU content with successful demos. But
Yeah.
just as you said, it's not just about one metric, it's about
Yeah.
so many other metrics, right? It's about quality, it's about where they are in their journey, it's about what did they download, what were they thinking at that point. Eventually, is it matching the actual ICP parameters
Yeah.
or not? Most people think that it's about publishing a BOFU content base, and then it just comes down to somebody subscribe to a tool. No, they might not
Yeah.
suddenly subscribe and buy. They may just book a demo. They may have just downloaded it. Now you need to warm them up, right? And then eventually drive them towards conversion. So it's actually a lot of multi-step tracking that has to be in
Correct.
place. Okay. Bringing this to a close, if you had one tip to give to all the new content marketers out there, or let's say the head of marketings out there, what would it be for creating BOFU content that works?
I think go deeper. Like you said, when it comes to sales, support, and marketing, what I have seen is that sales and support teams, they have to be in touch with each other, because sales is bringing up, like, bringing a customer, and customer support is actually nurturing them, talking to them. So these two are actually in line with each other. But for marketing, it is easier to fall out from this group because marketing is not a customer facing team, right? So it is, as a marketer, it is your responsibility to actually talk to these two teams, understand more about the product, understand more about the prospects and the customers. That's how you create actual BOFU content. Else it will be based on assumptions, and in BOFU content, assumption is not the right approach. Could be for tofu to certain extent, but for BOFU it's not, because the way you are perceiving a product not necessarily means that your customer is also perceiving it in that way. And that answer only sales and customer support can give you, like what they are looking for, what they are using, which features they are loving. So definitely you should make friends with customer support and sales teams. That is the only way to go. Yeah.
So general takeaway, cross team collaboration for sure, and dig
Yeah.
deeper.
Yeah.
Don't just create because somebody else did.
Yes, right.
And well, that's all I had. And thank you so much, Sreyashi, for joining us today. I'm going to follow up with maybe more specific topics again. Right. So I
Sure,
may
sure.
bother you for another call pretty, pretty soon.
Sure. Thanks for having me. It was great talking to you. Looking forward to the episode.